Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, depending on when you're watching this. My name is Jaden Smith, and this is my presentation on archetyping. I'm going to be going over what archetyping is, what it is in branding and advertising, what it is, why it matters, and how it shapes the way that brands connect with their consumers. So, what is archetyping? Archetyping is a strategic approach to building a brand identity based on storytelling psychology. So instead of just focusing on what your product does, brands use archetypes to tell a story that can actually resonate with the audience emotionally. For example, Nike isn't just selling athletic wear, they really embody the hero archetype. And it's in all their messaging. Just do it. They want you to get out there, push your limits, go beyond what you think is possible. Uh, a lot of times physically, but even beyond that. Apple kind of falls into two categories. They represent the creator or the rebel. Um, they feel like they're constantly trying to make new things and encourage innovation and push what's already been done. And their messaging resembles that. It's all consistent with what they believe that they are, what archetype they believe that they fall in. And by using archetypes, brands create consistent and meaningful narratives that build trust, recognition, and loyalty with their consumers. All right, so now that we identified what archetyping is and how companies use it, we can get into some common archetypes that you've seen in different places. For starters, there's the hero. The hero is courageous, it's motivated by its mastery. That would be brands like Nike and Adidas, where all their messaging is to inspire people and uplift. It's all about empowerment. There's the rebel. The rebel challenges rules and pushes change. Companies like Harley Davidson use the archetype, and it attracts consumers that value independence and freedom, rebellion. There is the innocent archetype. It's just a pure, optimistic tone. That'd be brands like Dove soap, and Coca-Cola. All their messaging, all their advertising is just really feel good, happy stuff. It's pretty simple. There is the sage. The sage seeks truth and wisdom. That will be companies like Google, Nat Geographic. They fit the archetype because what they offer is knowledge, and that's what their messaging is. Their messaging is to give you knowledge. There is the explorer, and the explorer values adventure and self-discovery. That'd be companies like Jeep. They use that archetype. It appeals to people that are free-spirited and adventurous out there. And then there's the caregiver. The caregiver is focused on compassion and protection. That'd be archetypes like Johnson & Johnson. It really resonates with people that are caregivers. I mean, it's pretty simple. A lot of them match. A lot of the time it's in the name. It attracts people that feel like they fit that archetype themselves. All right. So what's the impact? What impact does archetyping have on consumer perception? It's a huge impact. Archetyping has a huge impact on how customers perceive brands. When a brand does a good job at making their archetype or developing an archetype that aligns with the customer's values or the customer's self-image, it builds an emotional connection like these. I'll give you a personal anecdote. A year ago when I was playing college football, I had to prepare for a run test. I don't like running. I hate running. I knew it was going to be one of the hardest things I've done in my fitness journey. So when I was shopping, for water, Gatorade, something to keep me going during the workout while I was preparing, I came across this brand called Hoist Hydration. And their branding was all war-based. Like, we're going to get you ready to go to war. You can do anything if you drink this. And when I picked it up and I used it during the workout, I would have sworn on my mother's life that I wouldn't be able to run as fast as I did without that drink. And that's just an example of when a person resonates with a brand's archetype and feels like they're really connected, it has a huge impact. The emotional alignment can strengthen brand loyalty. People don't just buy products, they buy into what a brand represents. That's why archetyping is a super powerful tool, and it builds long-term connections with consumers. Now, let's go over how you develop a brand strategy based on archetyping principles. So, the first thing you want to do is identify your target audience. You have to understand their motivations, their fears, their wants, their needs, all of that. And then after you do that, you have to choose an archetype. You have to choose an archetype that aligns with those emotions that you identified in your target audience, but also an archetype that aligns with your brand's personal mission. And if you choose your target market well enough, or you identify your audience well enough, that shouldn't be too hard. The next thing you want to do is design your brand's voice and visuals to surround that archetype. All of your messaging has to express the archetype consistently across all medias, your logos, your colors, your tone, everything. They have to express the archetype that you chose for yourself. And then you have to push that archetype out there. You have to tell stories with your archetype. The best example I can think of this is Nike advertising with Derrick Rose. It was just a perfect story. A young kid that wasn't supposed to make it anywhere in life becomes MVP, and now he's rocking shoes, and the slogan's "Just Do It." They just go together so perfectly, and those are the type of stories you have to tell with your brand, depending on what your archetype is. Your stories have to embody your archetype. Consistency is key with this. Every touch point should reinforce your archetype to build a unified and authentic brand image. Now, why does this matter for me? How can I apply archetypes personally? Well, I want to go into marketing and advertising. I want to advertise. I want to help companies really grow their brand from small scale to large scale. And I have to know what archetyping is to do that. If I'm creating my own product, I have to understand in that market what other brands are doing, what archetypes they're portraying. So what do I have to do to go against those archetypes? Am I going to go directly against that? Am I going to do something similar? If a brand comes to me, I have to learn how to understand their archetype. I have to understand what they want to do, what their messaging is. Even in the project we're doing, the South Mountain Mobile Vet Clinic, I have to understand their archetype to effectively build a good ad campaign that they can use. It just all comes together in the workforce that I want to go into. I want to be a creative director. I feel like I do good in concepts. So to really develop those concepts that I want to do eventually in my life, I have to understand what archetyping is, because they're gonna intertwine themselves in everything that I do. Thank you for watching this whole thing. I really hope I did good in this presentation and explained thoroughly what archetyping is. Have a good night. Thank you.